Hello friends, welcome to your March Pick a Card Tarot reading. Today I am using a combination of tarot cards and oracle cards to see what we can expect for the month of March and the energies surrounding you this March. So we have 3 piles. This is pile 1, this is pile 2, this is pile number 3. If you do like to choose with crystals on top, I will be turning these top oracle cards over and revealing the crystals underneath. I do want to take this moment to remind you to subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate it. I cannot believe how fast we are growing and how many amazing people I am meeting through the comments. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know where you're from and what got you interested in tarot readings. I would love to know. So anyways, let's reveal these crystal cards. So pile number 1 is obsidian, snowflake obsidian to be exact. Pile number 2 is turquoise. Pile number 3 is red carnelian. So if that changes your mind as to which pile you want to pick, you can either go for the crystal that calls out to you, or you can watch the readings for both the crystal that is calling to you as well as the original pile. If you are called to more than one pile, sometimes that means that your message is spread out amongst multiple piles. So without further ado, let's get started on pile number 1, those who picked the snowflake obsidian. Hello, pile number 1, the snowflake obsidian. So snowflake obsidian is an air element stone. Astrologically speaking, it is ruled by Libra, and obsidian is a stone that is used for protection. It also allows us to become more aware of our emotions. It is good for vitality, energy, health. So it's a really good overall stone to keep. I actually keep a piece of snowflake obsidian just beside my bed. So I like to keep it there, and I really do find that it, as well as some other stones that I have, really helps me to sleep better at night. So let's put that up there, and let's get started with your tarot cards. So we have the 5 of Bows, which is empowerment, the Guardian, and the 9 of Bows. And lots of Bows energy. I feel like this March you guys are going to be coming out of maybe a bit of a blockage, or coming into a new level of confidence, exploring new ideas. There is some kind of transition going on, and I'm feeling like it's very mental, very spiritual kind of energy, and it's this 9 of Bows it's the card of respect, and I feel like the respect that it's talking about is really a newfound respect for yourself. And with the Guardian here, like this is a transition. It's you leaving behind ideas, people, actions that are no longer serving you, because you found this new level of respect for yourself. And you kind of are opening your eyes to the idea that I don't like how you're treating me, and so I'm not going to put myself in this situation anymore, and I'm going to move forward. And with this confidence, this self-respect, you are going to feel empowered. That's what this 5 of Bows is. This is the empowerment card. And I feel like it's going to be, it's not just going to happen overnight. This is going to be a long-term a long-term thing, and something that actually takes quite a while. Like, it's not just you're gonna wake up and just be this new person. It's not. It's going to take small little baby steps. It's going to be you setting boundaries for what you will and will not accept into your life. And it's also going to be you forgiving yourself for allowing things that have happened to you in the past. You know, so if you have, say you've been in a bad relationship, okay, this transition is you saying, I am not going to put myself into this position anymore. I no longer choose to be with someone who doesn't treat me with respect. I'm no longer going to be with someone who hurts me emotionally. I'm no longer going to be with someone who hurts me physically. And you finding this new empowerment to say, no, like, I am not doing it. But then there's also this next step, which I feel like you guys have already started this transition of, I'm putting up my boundaries. This is what I need to, like, this is the line I'm drawing. But then there's this another level, like this next, I want to, I'm thinking of an onion. You know how, like, an onion, like, you peel off layer and layer and layer, like, there's so many layers, right? You're not at the center of this yet. You've just started to peel off the outer layers. But as you get deeper, you realize that at the center of it is you. And you also have to forgive yourself for allowing those things to have happened to you. You have to forgive yourself for not even so much allowing those things to happen to you, but for putting up with it, for accepting that that was your normal. And then you also have to say goodbye to that version of you who was in those situations. You have to say, that is no longer me. This is the new me, peeling back another layer, and this new you is emerging. You know, it's like you have to go deep down within, you know, to your skeleton, perhaps. I mean, not literally, but, you know, the human body is, you know, you've got your outside, your flesh, you've got your muscles, your nerves, your circulatory system, your organs, then your skeleton, and, you know, there's so many different layers to what makes up the human form. So it's just like the onion, like, you have to peel back these layers, but then also spiritually, there's all sorts of layers. Mentally, there's all sorts of layers and blockages that you have to work through. And that might have been a little bit of a gruesome example, but I hope you understand what I mean. Like, it's not your physical representation of you is so much deeper than your physical shell. There is so many layers. You've also got, you know, like, you've got your conscious, but then you've got your subconscious, and then there's the superconscious, or your higher self, right? There's different layers to you, and we need to delve into the different layers of the subconscious. We need to delve into the different layers of the superconscious as well. And I feel like you guys are at this point in your journey where you're kind of moving beyond just accepting your conscious reality, and you're seeing that there is more. And with this seeing that there is more is where this newfound self-respect and this newfound empowerment is coming from. Okay? That might also be where this obsidian comes in, because it's during this transition, it's also very important to be able to protect your energies, but then it's also a stone of vitality, right? So not only is it protecting your energies, but it's also helping you to be energized. Okay? Let's see. Building blocks, which you can't see. Let me... Message in a bottle, and buy the book. Got this new setup, and I'm trying to make sure everything gets on camera. Do you like the new background? Okay. So, building blocks, message in a bottle, buy the book. I feel, this is interesting. I feel like this by the book is kind of the way that you have been living. You know, you've been living by what other people have told you to do. It's like someone else has been writing your story because you've been following the crowds, following the trends, following what your family tells you, following what your culture tells you, your religion. You've been following what other people have been telling you. And I mean, like, it's good to have a moral compass, and it's good to, get not so far off the beaten track, but at the same time, it's about understanding that you are the creator of your own story, and you don't have to do what other people are telling you. So it's time to get out there, and it's time to write your own story. It's time to create your own foundations, your own life with these building blocks. It's no longer reading this story. It's about getting out there and creating the life of your dreams. With this message in a bottle, it's actually interesting. We've got 15 and 15. So if you guys see the number 15, that might be a very symbolic number for you. Let me know down in the comments. It's also interesting that they lined up perfectly. 15 and 15. Wow. But anyways, what I was saying with this message in a bottle here is that to reach this next level, this might come with the aid of some kind of message, whether this is even this reading now. This could be telling this, this reading could set off, like a spark in your imagination about, yes, like I totally resonate with this. This is what I want to do. And then, because I'm kind of giving you permission here to go for your dreams, you have the motivation, or not even the motivation, but you've rekindled the motivation that's always been within you. This could also be a message that comes to you through dreams, through spirit animals, through guides, through messages from ancestors. This could even be like your higher self connecting with your conscious mind to be like, now is the time. So don't shy away when you perhaps hear messages, or when you see things that kind of spark your interest. Like, listen to them, analyze them. What is it trying to tell you? Because I'm sure that message is going to help you with these building blocks. And then the last card we have here is the new moon in Leo, which is confidence is key to your success. And I think that's very true. This confidence, this goes back to what we were talking about with the tarot cards, with the newfound self-respect, which is going to lead to this empowerment. It's coming through confidence, through confidence for your physical body, for your spiritual, for your mindset, for, this newfound kind of like overall you might have had, confidence for, say, your physical body, but you're like, oh, well, I look nice, but I'm not the smartest. Or maybe it was the opposite. You're like, I'm really smart, but I'm struggling with my weight. It's this newfound confidence that you are not just parts of you. You are a whole thing. Like if you take the example of, say, a car, okay, you know what a car is, and sure, you can describe that car in many different ways, and people who like one type of car might not like another type of car, and that's perfectly fine. But if you start breaking down that car into individual pieces, so you take the tires off, you take the engine out, you take the doors off, you take the steering wheel away, you don't have a car anymore. You've just got these individual pieces. And for many people, the whole car is much more valuable than the parts. And so when you're thinking about yourself, you are not just your physical body. You are not just your intellect. You are not just your emotions. You know, you're not just the clothes you wear. You are this entire package, and this entire package is what makes you unique. It's what makes you special. It's what makes you who you are. And I feel like this coming March, there's going to be this newfound confidence in the whole package. And that's what's really going to help us transition to this next phase of life. This really empowering, encouraging, I just heard profitable. I don't know in what way profitable, whether this is you finding confidence to ask for a raise, whether this is you creating your own business, going for something that you want, or maybe it's profitable in a non-material sense, profitable in like a love sense, profitable in, I don't know. I heard the word profitable and I had to share it with you. Okay, so this March, it's about you transitioning from following someone else's story to having the confidence to write your own. Okay, group number 1 with the Snowflake Obsidian, that is your tarot reading. If you enjoyed this reading about what you can expect to start to happen in March 2020, then please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Love, light, and happiness to all of you. Have a fantastic day. Bye, group number 1. Hello, group number 2. Those of you who picked the turquoise. So turquoise is, as you can tell, a water stone. I absolutely love turquoise. I think it is so beautiful. I actually don't have any in my collection, but I need to add some because it is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, it is a water stone, and astrologically speaking, it is ruled by the moon. The turquoise is a stone about balance for the masculine and the feminine, emotion and reason. It's a really balancing stone. It allows us to see our strengths in times of difficulty. It allows us to see harmony through chaos. It's a really wonderful stone to calm the mind, to bring about a sense of peace. It's a great stone to use when you are meditating or relaxing. I know a lot of people who wear turquoise jewelry, and it's a wonderful, if you find yourself a little bit high strung or worried, just get yourself a nice like turquoise ring or necklace or some like a bracelet and just wear it. It's very popular in jewelry. So let's get started with your tarot cards. But you've got 4. Okay. So we have the 10 of Arrows. I'm going to put them up there. I'm getting used to this new setup, so excuse me as I fumble with where the cards need to go. 8 of Vessels, the World Tree, and the 8 of Bows. You have everyone on the screen? We do. Okay. Instruction, Rebirth, World Tree, Hearthfire. Interesting energy pile number 2. I feel like you guys have been putting in a lot of work towards something, and it is really starting to kind of come together. Or on the opposite side, maybe there's some of you who are just starting this journey. But with this World Tree, like, this is not a quick journey. This isn't something that's been happening overnight. This is something that you've been working on or will be working on for a considerable amount of time. If you see this tree here, it goes from spring to summer to fall to winter. It has all of the seasons in it, and we've got this labyrinth in front of it. Now there is a door which we could go in. You could choose to just go right through the door. You could bypass the labyrinth and just go in. But the message of this card is that it is time to find peace within the journey itself, to find prosperity within the journey itself, to find positivity within the journey itself. Sure, you could cut corners and you could go right through that door, but that doesn't teach you what you need to learn. It doesn't help you transform as a person. And when you do take all of these steps before getting through that door, then the end goal, this celebration, this prosperity of, finally, or prosperity, this, what's the word I'm looking for? This achievement at the end. Like, it's, that feeling when you've worked really, really hard on something and you're just so proud of yourself and you're just like, I can't believe I finally achieved that. Well, that's what it's going to be like when you work through all the different steps to get to where you want to go. If you cheat, it's not nearly as exciting, right? It's like, yeah, I'm here. Like, I didn't work that hard, so, you're not. It's if you half-ass something, then you're going to have a half-ass celebration. If you put all of your effort into something, then what you can create and the satisfaction, that was the word I was looking for, the satisfaction that you feel at the end is just amplified. Okay? It's like so we've got this fire here, right? If you go out and you collect 4 sticks, your fire's not going to last that long. It's going to be, it might keep you warm for a little bit. It might be enough to cook your dinner, but it's not this gigantic fire, this bonfire that they've got here. It's much smaller, not as satisfactory. Okay, sorry, my toddler just came up because he had cut his finger. So, as I was saying, I hope I don't repeat anything, but I don't want to miss out. So, using the bonfire example and relating it to this instruction card, to learn to start a fire even takes an incredible amount of skill. You have to learn to get kindling, how to cut wood, chop down a tree, dry the wood. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. Finding proper deadfall in the forest, knowing what kind of woods will burn better than others. There's a lot of skill that actually goes into creating a fire, especially a sustainable fire, one that's going to last longer. If you just are constantly burning kindling, you're going to have to keep feeding the fire, and that's going to take a lot of energy. But if you can learn to start with kindling, add some bigger branches, and then put the logs on, knowing the correct type of wood from your area to have that fire last the longest, that is a much more balanced way to create a fire, right? That's the going through the labyrinth and not just going through the door. You could just take a lighter and light a piece of paper on fire. There you go, you got fire. But it's going to burn out very quickly, right? But to have, like a fire that you can then use the coals to cook over, a fire to heat your home. Like, there's so much you can do with fire, but it takes time to learn these things. But then, once you've learned these skills and you've mastered them, all of a sudden, this simple thing of fire opens up whole new worlds, right? Like, again, heating your home, cooking food. You can even use fire in controlled ways, like to incinerate garbage if you have to incinerate waste, to clear leaves. Many indigenous cultures use controlled fire burns to prevent wildfires. They do controlled burn to take away what they know will burn easily in case of a wildfire. And by being able to control this, they have better control over their situation. But again, if you just shortcut that and just like start lighting stuff on fire, you're gonna get in trouble, right? So it's this learning process, and then this rebirth is kind of like understanding what this knowledge can then do for you. Okay. And again, like that, the fire was just an example, but it really can apply to anything. It's even, say, take school. Like, you learn so much in school, whether it be, like high school, post-secondary education, trade school, whatever it happens to be. And then you have this moment of graduation, this rebirth where you are no longer a student. You are now whatever you have, you're a high school graduate, you're whatever your trade happens to be, whatever you went to school for. You've now gone from being a student and you've done a rebirth into whatever, into what you have created for yourself. And now, education, it does take time. So we've got the trees, the whole year represented right on this tree. And for many of us, our education takes many years. And for many of us, actually, really for all of us, our education never stops. It's just when formal education might end. But again, if you don't take the time to actually appreciate the journey and just rush forward to the end, there's going to be some gaps in your knowledge. There's going to be gaps in your skills. There might even be gaps in learning how to learn the information you need. So it's really about, taking every day and every moment as its own individual experience. I know I'm so guilty of rushing through high school, just wanting the day to be over. But there were a few classes, like for me it was art class, where art class could have happened the entire day. And I really valued, each stroke of the paintbrush, even like when I messed up, like the erasing and getting the eraser bits off of my paper. I really truly appreciated every moment of art class. But for so many of us, we do only have those specific niches where we put our time and our effort. But I feel like the message for you guys is to really start kind of taking that energy and applying it to the other areas of our lives that might seem like they are in chaos right now, or that might seem negative, or might seem even boring. It's about being mindful in the moment so that we can make the most of the moment and make the most of who we are. Being able to make the biggest impact with really the least amount of effort. Let's see which oracle cards are. The Yang, again, balance. Regeneration, right under rebirth. Come to the edge. Yeah. So the yin and the yang, this is all about balance. You've got regeneration right under rebirth, and it's interesting because it looks like the ground has been scorched, and we were just talking so intensely about fire and the controlled burns. Even when you do a controlled burn of an area to get rid of the debris that has built up, that burn allows new plant life to thrive. because we've cleared out the old. There's a type of pine tree, I think it's a jack pine, which needs to be exposed to super high temperatures, like wildfire temperatures, in order for the pine cones to open and release the seeds. So like that is just, yeah, that is a rebirth too, right? Like it's a transformation. But it's about coming to the edge, right? Like it's, when you think of a controlled burn and fire, it's almost like that little jack pine seed. It's coming to the edge. That fire could kill it, but instead that fire sparks a rebirth, and it allows that seed to actually germinate and become what it was destined to be. But sometimes we have to come right up to that edge. Like with the world tree, sometimes it seems like this journey is not ending. We just keep going and going and going, and it's like, when am I ever going to get there? And you might be tempted to take the shortcuts, to skip ahead, or even to just give up. But when you come up to that edge, just remind yourself to be mindful in the moment, to understand why you started doing what you were doing, and to keep going, to push forward. Come to the edge, look over the cliff, and see that it's not as scary as you thought it was. Be bold and make the first move. That's the first move into this labyrinth, the first move into the journey. When you want to do something, sometimes you need to go out on a limb. Maybe you have to go back to school. Maybe you have to learn something new. Maybe you have to meet someone to get the ball rolling. But be bold enough to make the first move when that motivation strikes. When you want to do something, don't let the excuses take over, right? Say you want to, start an exercise program, right? Don't think like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to lose some weight, I'm going to look awesome, and then you never actually get started because you are too afraid to step foot into the gym. You're too busy to go out on a walk. You're too afraid to try a new recipe. Don't be afraid to make that first move. If that first move doesn't get you to where you need to go, it's not a failure. That first move is simply a step. And that step might lead you to what you need to know. It's not a failure, it's a learning experience. And you can, as you learn and you develop your skills and you can start to put the pieces together and you start to see like, okay, like it is actually coming together. I'm moving forward. Sometimes it might seem like you're moving back, but you're putting pieces together and being able to understand the bigger picture. Even when it seems like you're taking 2 steps back, say a relationship doesn't work out, but you tried, right? You now know what it is that you don't want in a partner, and you can focus on having the opposite, right? You don't want to have a narcissistic partner. Instead, you want someone who is caring and compassionate. Failures are only happen when you give up, right? And if you don't even make the first move, then you've already given up, okay? Make the first move, even if it's not the right one. It will help you learn, to grow, to expand. Do you think this tree got to the size it did overnight? No, that tree was once a tiny little seed in the pine cone of, actually it's an oak tree, I think. So in the acorn of another tree, right? And it was dropped, and then it had to potentially be carried by a squirrel, and then it was just this tiny little acorn. And then the seed germinated, it sprouted. It was a tiny little sapling. Then it grew, and it grew, and it took years, decades, centuries to get to the size that it did. Perhaps it weathered storms, perhaps it weathered fires, perhaps it weathered someone carving a hole into it to place that door. But it is still there, it is still thriving, and it is going to continue to grow. And your whole life is about continuing to grow. And we don't only have one rebirth in this life, okay? We grow and we change as we come to the edge and as we experience new things. We can continue to change. There's nothing wrong with changing as long as you are comfortable with the ideas. If you don't like the path that you are on, look for different options. We can just, it doesn't even have to be like a big change. It could be getting your hair cut so you feel amazing about yourself. It could be moving to a new city, a new country, trying something new. But it's just about trusting the journey. This world tree is really speaking to me like this. This card is your message. It is the journey. It's not the end goal, because we never know what the end goal will be. We might think we want something, but that could change, that could grow, Say you want to, have a job where you make $50,000 in a year. Well, is your life over when you get that job and you start making that amount of money? No, you rebirth. You change, you set new goals, you keep going. You put out new branches, right? It's always about moving forward. And I'm sure by the time you got close to 50,000, you already knew what your next goals were, right? You didn't pause there and be like, well, I'm here, I'm stuck, I'm stagnant. Goals are always changing and evolving, and so should you. You need to change and grow and evolve, because the person who got you to where you are today will not get you to the next step. You need to change and grow and evolve to get to that next step. We are constantly changing. We are constantly moving forward. And it is just about appreciating that journey. Okay, group number 2. I hope you enjoyed this tarot reading about what you can expect for March. I feel like I went on a really long-winded tangent. And don't expect all of this in March. This is just kind of a mindset you need to adapt. This March is just the idea that the journey is far more important than the goal ever will be. Okay? If you enjoyed this reading, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Love, light, and happiness to all of you. Have a fantastic day. Bye. Hello, group number 3. Those of you who picked the pile with the red cornelian. As you can see, this is a fiery card. Its ruling element is fire. Astrologically, it is the sun. And this card, it is about passion. It is about your internal strength. It is about courage. So if you find yourself doubting yourself, if you find yourself with low self-esteem, this might be a good stone to carry with you for self-empowerment. Put that up there. And we are going to start with your tarot cards. You got 4 as well. Okay, 2 of arrows, injustice. Maybe that's where those self-esteem issues are coming from. Boredom, transition, challenge. Those of you who picked group number 3, you're going through a transition, some kind of a change. I don't know if this is something that you are willingly going through, something that you've willingly started or will willingly start. If you've just like, you know what, I'm done with this. I am seeking better opportunities for myself. I'm seeking better opportunities for my family, whoever. Or if this is something that's kind of, this transition is going to be more fallen into your lap, it might catch you a little bit off guard. But I feel like this is going to be, it's going to be challenging, but worth it. And it's definitely a change that needs to happen. Okay. Where do I want to start? I feel like this is kind of the energy that you're in. This feeling of injustice, this feeling of boredom. It might even be like a feeling of stagnation, like you are stuck in your current circumstances, you're stuck in your current job, you're stuck in your hometown or whatever location, and you are almost like you're needing a change, but maybe you don't know what that change is. Maybe you don't know how to go about getting it. And I feel like for March, for you guys, it's really just going to be a stepping stone to start this transition. Potentially a lot of contemplation, a lot of meditation, shadow work, really looking within to figure out what it is that you want to do and where you want to go with this. I mean, you kind of have two options. You could really think it through. I mean, there's always more than two options, but I'm seeing two options here. Okay. And that's what these two cards represent. You could either jump in this boat and just go, take a risk, a leap of faith, and just kind of be like, the waters here are turbulent. I see smoother waters over there, and I'm going to go for it. Or you could fight through. Stay where you are, but make changes that you need to better your situation where you are. So yeah, it's this energy. I feel like you're transitioning out of. It's just a matter of how you're going to be doing it. And actually, let's get your oracle cards out right now, because maybe they'll give us more insight. Co-create. Why? And the never-ending story. I think this why card is very important. Why are you feeling in this energy? Why are you feeling injustice? Why are you feeling boredom towards your current circumstances? And is this injustice towards your perception of boredom? It's like, it's not fair. Like, I've worked so hard. Why am I feeling so stuck? It's almost like the boredom might be your response to the situation, and the injustice is your response to yourself. In a way, you're feeling like it's not fair. I've worked so hard. Why can't I get what I want to get? But it's about going back to your why. Why are you even doing what you're doing? Are you even really enjoying what you're doing? If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then maybe it's time to make this change, this transition, to move forward. Whether this is leaving a relationship, leaving a job, leaving a physical location, and, moving forward. Or if you do still enjoy what you're doing, who you're with, where you are, then is it worth fighting for, right? And that's a decision that you have to make. I'm not sure if this decision is going to be needing to happen in March, or if it's something that just the wheels are going to start moving. You're going to start thinking about this, starting analyzing it. But it's important to remember with this co-create card that you are the creator of your destiny. You do have options, you do have choices, you do have the ability to create your desired reality. Okay? And this never-ending story, your past, your current circumstances, they're always going to be a part of your life. But it's, where do you take the story going forward? Do you let this story stay here and let this cycle of injustice and boredom repeat itself in a never-ending cycle? Or do you flip the page and go somewhere new? It's up to you. You have the power, you have the option to change your story. But remember that it's still all the same story. It's just a plot twist, right? Your story will always exist, even when you are gone, or even say if you've lost a loved one. Their story doesn't end because their physical body is no longer here, right? Let's use my grandmother as an example. My grandmother passed away almost a year ago, and her story has not ended, right? She still exists in the minds of her family. She exists because I'm telling this story about her, right? It's almost springtime, and in the spring I will go out and I will search for the crocuses, the purple crocuses, because that was her favorite springtime flower. The spring flowers always surprised her, and she loved being surprised by the spring flowers. So that is me continuing on her story, even though she is long gone. And so many of us, when we feel like it wasn't fair that someone was taken away from us, like this could even be what this injustice card is for some of you. Some of you might have lost someone and you're feeling like it's not fair, and without them your life will never be the same, and now you're bored because you're stuck in the circle of darkness. But that story has not ended. You can keep their story going through memories, through sharing stories about them, through looking at pictures of them. If they have children, their story has continued in their DNA. It is a never-ending cycle. We will continue. Their grandchildren, like my grandmother, will continue to exist long after I am gone, because her DNA will exist in my children, and then potentially in my children's children. You know, like if they choose to have children. Just because something is gone from this physical world doesn't mean that the story has ended. It's just the physical representation of their story is no longer there. Well, I guess in some sense it still is, because pictures are a physical representation of their stories. But, you know, their physical body is no longer here. I feel like I went off on a tangent, but I feel like someone needed to hear that. Even with this transition card, this might be some of you are going through the transition of losing a loved one. And if that is the case, then my condolences. I do know what it's like to lose a loved one. So, but anyways, I feel like your main card for this reading is this why card. It is about understanding your why, right? Even going back to the grief, why are you grieving them? You are grieving them because you loved them so much. And don't ever forget that. It hurts because you loved them so much. So instead of focusing on that hurt, focus on that love, right? And let's go back to the example that, say, this is a career. Is this a career that you have worked hard for? Is it something that you spent years going to school for, or taking courses on, or learning about, perhaps through an apprenticeship? Was it worth doing all of that schooling? I'm sure it was, because you've gotten to where you are. But maybe in the moment you need a reminder as to the why you began. And when you can reconnect with this why, you can step out of this boredom and be rejuvenated, enlightened, empowered to continue going. And if your why has changed, then maybe it's time to transition to something different. And if it is still worth fighting for, then you fight for it. Okay? That's what your Moonology card is. What do you need to release? The waning moon. Yeah. It's almost like there's a mindset that you need to release. I'm feeling like if we had to talk about a glass half full or a glass half empty, a lot of you might choose that the glass is half empty. But it's almost like you need to let go of that mindset, the injustice, the boredom, that. And you need to find your passion. And you need to be grateful for the fact that you have a glass that has a halfway point filled or emptied with liquid. You still have that liquid within the glass. And even the part that looks empty, there is still so much there. There is life-giving oxygen in the rest of the cup, right? So what is it that is your passion? Why have you started doing what you are doing? Why are you focusing on the negatives? It is time to release those negatives. Focus on gratitude. Focus on positivity. And if you can't see the positive in the situation, then maybe it's time to change. Not necessarily change yourself, but change your circumstances. It's time to move forward to something that will bring you joy and excitement, something that will reignite that fire within. Okay, group number 3, I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Love, light, and happiness to all of you. Have a fantastic day. Bye.